Well, I'm feeling all right. Are you?
Yeah. Good. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If this is your very first time here, we extend a special welcome to you and thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. We hope you enjoy what you hear, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them, because we really are all about questions and finding our own answers. And we would very much appreciate it if you would fill out that little slip that tears off your bulletin cover, so that we can just send you a thank you for being here. And we will add you, unless you say don't do this, to our weekly Wednesday morning email pick-me-up. It's just a short little spiritual message that I send out just to remind people that things are okay. So if you do that, you can just take it over to the Welcome Center after service. That would be very helpful. Giving our reading and invocation this morning is Stephanie Stewart, because I have co-opted her. Our vigil holder is Linda Andriaco, and Lenza Smith and Stephanie will offer our interfaith candle lighting, which we do to remind us that there's wisdom in all of the world's religious and spiritual traditions, and it's available to us if we will open ourselves to it. So where's Teresa? The kids are with Teresa while they go over and gather with her. They're going to do a really cool story today. I'm excited. We will simply bless them as they gather and get ready to go back to the kids' room. Oh my goodness. They're beautiful. And so let us simply remember that these children are absolutely transparent lights of spirit, and that they bring to us that sense of newness and wonder about life. And so we just give thanks for them. We bless their time together today, knowing that each one of them gets a little bit bigger glimpse of their own beauty and wonder. And we give thanks that they are part of our community. And we simply let that all be. And so it is. Have a great day, kids. Thanks for being here.
Have fun. We love you.
So the very first thing in this little segment of announcements, go for it ladies, is we're passing out a contact information update card. What we're trying to do is make our database reflect some semblance of reality, because right now it doesn't. So if you could take a few minutes and just fill those out, and you can leave it on your chair or in the basket where you drop your bulletin, or even put it in the offering basket when it goes around later. We have this great, powerful database, and it's pretty useless right now because we don't know who's on first and who slid home. So let me just put it that way. There's a lot going on in the next couple of weeks, and there are a couple of flyers in your bulletin. First, next Sunday, Jessie Powers is coming back. If you caught her the last time, you won't want to miss her this time. She's, I don't know, 20-something, incredibly talented singer and songwriter, and she'll be back here with her guitar next Sunday. So please, I know it's a holiday weekend, but she'll be here, and you don't want to miss it.
No, you don't want to miss that.
You don't want to miss it.
No,
right.
you don't want to miss when the band rocks even harder.
Exactly. There's a big flyer here too about the Mandala Doodle Workshop, which is in October. It's October 7th. This woman, Kathy Roush, is a marvelous facilitator, friendly, joyful, incredibly talented. And she's going to take us through a workshop where we hand draw, believe it or not, something we absolutely love. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm about as artistic as a mud pie. That was the extent of my creativity when I was a kid, my artistic creativity, and I haven't gotten much better. But I drew something with Kathy's guidance that just made me smile. I loved it. And so she's going to be here doing that workshop with us. She would like a count for materials about a week before, so if you can pre-register, that would be great. I did put a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board, and we'll just keep signing people up from now until about October 1st. That's going to be really great. And we also have another next-gen person coming in September, Russ Laguerre from Cityside Church in Chicago. He's a 30-something ministerial student who's quite wonderful, and he'll be speaking and offering a workshop on September 28th. Excitingly, we have a foundations class starting September 11th, which is like 2 weeks from Tuesday. Isn't that amazing that it's going to be September? I could hardly believe it. September 11th, Becky will be facilitating. Becky Victor will be facilitating. It's the prerequisite for all of our other classes, but what it is more than that is a really good opportunity to sort of take a look at why your life is the way it is and learn how to change the things you want to change and enhance the things you want to enhance. It's really life-changing. And so there is a sign-up sheet for that also at the Welcome Center because we have to prepare class materials for you in advance. Let's see, are Chris and Tom here? There's Chris and Tom. Chris and Tom had something that they wanted to talk to you about and invite you to. So Tom is going to come up and tell you about it.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Chris is ill today, so I'm just doing it myself. Okay. It's an invitation to participate in the El Camino de Santiago de Compostela. Hi, everybody. Today, we would like to offer you an opportunity to experience something truly life-changing. We are considering doing the famous pilgrimage in Spain to Santiago de Compostela. It's located in northwestern Spain. The town possesses a relic of St. James at the cathedral. It has been a pilgrimage destination for centuries. In recent times, there has been an increase in interest, at least partly due to the book by Shirley MacLaine and the movie The Way. The two of us have been talking about it for literally years, and now this is next year, the time has come. A pilgrimage can mean so many things, and beyond just a long walk. It's an opportunity to meet people of other belief systems and from different cultures, yes, but also an opportunity to experience spiritual growth and insights. It is a temporary suspension from everyday business and mindset. In short, it is what you make of it, always, and we hope to enter into it in the spirit of discovery and renewal. We are considering late September or early October 2019. That gives us all time to raise the money, get passports, and especially get in shape. If we elect to take the Portugal starting point route along the Atlantic Ocean, it would take 7 days of walking. This translates to 12 to 15 miles a day, and a total route is 111 miles. This is quite doable if it is broken up with rest stops. At the end, you get a certificate at the cathedral, but I think we can all agree it is the journey, not the destination, that matters. I have contacted one tour company so far and will contact others. This company is called Follow the Camino, based in Ireland. They would do all the bookings and transport the luggage. They do not accompany the peregrinos. The cost for 7 days and 7 nights is 722 euros per person as of now. And I say, if you're interested, please talk to me at the end of the service for more details. And give me your email address, and we'll create a group. And we'll put together an email list, and we'll provide you with updates. So if you're interested, just talk to me after service.
Thank you, Tom. Put me on that list. 722 euros? That's a
plus
steal.
airfare.
I know, but that's really good.
Yeah, it won't bankrupt you.
Yeah. I'm on your list. It's birthday Sunday today. I'm almost done, Kenny, I promise. Yakety, yakety, yak. I know. It's a birthday Sunday, so please join us in the social hall afterwards for goodies and celebration for Ricky Bailey, Linda Bogart, Ann Calkins, Nicole, I hope I'm saying this right, Ciarla Riello. Oh, what a gorgeous name. Or is it Ciarla? I don't know. Anyway, it's a beautiful name. Nick Gambino, Doris Good, Teresa Napke, Leah McCullough, Chris Noah Cooper, who unfortunately is ill today, Joe Parker, who's here, Beth Schustrom, and Dawn Stroud. Happy birthday to all of our August babies. And finally, our practitioners are here to pray with you after service on Sunday. Anyone with the teal or the white prayer stole on, all you have to do is walk up and ask them. It's their gift to you on Sunday. They've got a lot of practice and a lot of training at sort of being able to cut through and see the spiritual truth. And that's, as I say, their gift to you with deep love. So if there's anything you'd like prayer for, please take advantage of that. And now we get to hear Kyle sing one of my favorite songs that he sings, Satisfy My Soul. Take it away, Kyle.
Thank you.
We light the first candle in honor of Christianity. This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. And if we know that He hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have what we asked of Him. The second candle is lit in honor of Judaism. May my prayer be set before you like incense. May the lifting up of my hands be like the evening sacrifice. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. We light the third candle in honor of Islam. Hold on to your salah, your prayer, because if you lose that, you will lose everything else. We light the fourth candle in honor of Buddhism. Evoking the presence of great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that all living beings realize that they are all brothers and sisters, all nourished from the same source of life. We light the fifth candle in honor of Native American religions. Rise with the sun to pray. Pray often and alone. The Great Spirit will listen only if you speak. We light the sixth candle in honor of Hinduism. Prayer is the key of the morning and the bolt of the evening. And we light the seventh candle in honor of the spirituality of the Maori people. May the peace of the sky above, of the earth below, and of the all-embracing universe rest upon us all. Beautiful, it is life. Today's reading comes from our founder, Ernest Holmes. When you give a mental treatment, you should feel that all the power there is in the universe is flowing into your word. It is very easy if you simplify it in your thought and realize that you are dealing with an eternal presence, which when called upon, responds to you. So if you'll take today's reading into the silence for a few moments of contemplation with me. So as we come together this morning in this place of peace and love and great power, I call upon that presence within each of us. I call upon it to allow each of us to see clearly the divine within each of us and within one another, and to see clearly the divine that is this service. I know all that are present are here by divine invitation, by divine order. I know all that transpires is exactly as it should be, and Reverend Cece is a divine conduit for today's message. And I give great thanks. Give great thanks for all present and for all that transpires. And so it is.
Well, you could probably tell from our candle lighting readings that our topic this month is prayer. We are taking a deep look at prayer, and I have to tell you, it's kind of embarrassing, but I'll tell you anyway. I couldn't believe all the deep biases and prejudices I had about prayer until we started this exploration. I didn't know they were there, and they came popping up. It was very interesting. You know, I grew up thinking that prayer was that thing that you got through. You said the words as fast as you could say them, so that then you could get out of there after confession and get back to sinning. Get back to real life. You know, it was kind of punishment. Here, you're going to stay on your knees and say 50 Hail Marys, which I could do in record time, and then I could go back to life. Nobody taught me otherwise. And when I decided that there was nothing to pray to, I went through that phase for quite a number of years. I thought it was pointless mumbo jumbo. And then I had a few experiences of this something that is greater than any of us or all of us put together. So I knew there was something, but at that point I didn't know what to say anyway in prayer. And then I came here to Centers for Spiritual Living and learned a method of prayer that I thought I understood, but I have now peeled off a whole bunch of layers of misunderstanding and found new understanding, and I have a new respect for prayer as a spiritual discipline and a spiritual practice. So even the old dogs, I've been around for a long time, even old dogs learn new tricks, which is of course one of the best things about us, this community. The point is we never stop peeling off the layers and we never stop learning. We never arrive because there is a universe inside of us that you can't just sort of take a cursory glance at and say, oh, I got that. It's a lifetime exploration, and I love that. So we've been looking at the particular form of prayer that we talk about here, and we've talked so far about many of the steps of affirmative prayer that we call spiritual mind treatment, because we are treating our minds with a curative for our deeply rooted thought of separation and aloneness, of limitation, of smallness, of not enoughness. We're applying a curative to all that, and we talked a while ago about the first two steps, recognition and unification, which involve us quietly contemplating. Ernest Holmes says we get still and we think about God. We contemplate and open up to the kingdom and queendom of heaven that's already within us. We recognize that there is something in the universe that knits it all together somehow, something that spun it all into being out of the only thing there was, which was itself. Something that continues to push out into new space and new time so that it's always expanding and evolving. Something that is good and creative and powerful and whole and loving. That's recognition, just recognizing that something exists. And then we realize that we're here, that means we're part of it. Because we couldn't be anything else. We couldn't be anything other than part of it. Because if all creation were made out of it and by it and through it, we must be part of that. And so we unify with it, and we let that sense of unity, that sense of oneness settle into our minds. And in that sense of unity comes the realization that spirit can't be divided up. We don't put good over there and bad over there, or health over there and illness over there, or one part of God here and another part here and another part here. It is of necessity holographic. So wherever it is, it all is. So right here, it all is. And right inside of each one of us, it all is. And last week we talked about this realization step, what it is that we realize our good. And we talked about getting to the subject and the object, if you will, of our prayer. Maybe it's health or joy or relationship or prosperity or peace or whatever it is. Whatever it is related to healing that sense of separation. That we are separate from God, that we are separate from each other. That's the healing that takes place at some point. And in response to that claim for healing, we talked about how all our old thought patterns rise up and tell us that what we pray about isn't possible, or that it might be possible for Marge because she's been around a long time and is wise and beautiful, but not for me. Do you know what I mean? Those thoughts, they come up, and that's when we have to stop and remember again that where spirit is, it all is, and that where it is right here. And then we affirm what we're praying about. And then when our minds persist in telling us that that's impossible, or not for you, but maybe for somebody else, we deny that. We deny that it's impossible. We deny anything that's unlike the spiritual truth of the matter. And then we affirm again what we're praying about. We affirm our oneness with the allness that God is. And then we come to these final two steps, which we're going to talk about today. We're talking just about kind of like the form, the container. And September is all about the fire, the feeling, the sense, palpable sense of spirit. But the last two steps are thanksgiving and release. And we give thanks for knowing the truth. We give thanks for the goodness of God. We give thanks for the calm and the peace that we feel when we have completed prayer. And then we just let it go. We kind of pry our mental fingers loose from the situation and let it go. And lean into trust. You know, this is hard for us. We have to lean into the trust we have for the divine. We don't, the thing that trips us up, I think, is that our logical mind says, you don't know how that's going to happen. We don't have to know. We don't have to know that part. What we have to do is let it go. We may or may not know how it's going to come to pass, but that part isn't up to us. Have you ever had a situation where you need somebody to do something particular and you don't know who that is and you don't know how to find them, and then all of a sudden a business card shows up, or in conversation someone says, I know this guy and here's what he was doing at my neighbor's house, and you go, that's it. That's the person I need. It's kind of like that. Or if you're like me in my 32 years of practicing the 12 steps, I'm still finding people I need to make amends to. I was drunk. I didn't remember them until now. Sometimes it takes many years to break through that fog, and I'll say, oh my God, I never made amends to that person. And I don't even know whether they're alive or dead. I don't know how to reach them. And all of a sudden my phone rings, and guess who it is? The person I need to make amends to. And I have that opportunity. It's like that. That's kind of how these things happen. Sometimes you just all of a sudden realize or know something, and you don't know where that came from. It's like that. That's the answered part, right? That's the spirit taking care of things, the universe taking care of things that we don't know how it got taken care of. The book that falls off the shelf, the person you meet by chance, whatever it is, that's the catalyst that answers your prayer. We have no idea how to get from where we are to where we want to be. We have no idea of the steps to take, the mechanics of it, I guess. But we don't have to. We don't even precisely know how to change our minds. We have tools that work and practices that work, that open us up to change. But what is it exactly that happens when all of a sudden we find ourselves with a new idea, a new belief? I don't know, but I know it happens. It happens all the time, right? We don't have to know how to do it, only that it will and is being done. That's what we have to know. When we can arrive at that place, the only appropriate thing to do is to say thanks and then let it go. That was in all caps with periods after each word if you're a social media person. Let it go. And those last two steps, according to our founder Ernest Holmes, are simple acceptance. It's one of those simple but not easy things, like the 12 steps. Yeah, right. Simple but not easy to follow. He said, the intellect argues, but the spirit knows. So in this simple acceptance, we have to rely on what the spirit within us knows rather than what our intellect is arguing. And then we stop and remember. We go back and say, oh yeah, I remember I blasted that out of my consciousness, that's how Emma Curtis Hopkins put it last week when I talked about her words, blasting it out of your consciousness. Or if you're a quieter kind of person, you eased it on out the door of your mind and said, I don't need you anymore. Thank you for sharing. Goodbye, there's the door, right? We gave our minds a new track of thought, a new way of thinking, a new message of spiritual truth instead of that old belief we've been running with. we come to a deep knowing that the thing is done somehow at the appropriate time. Ernest Holmes' reading today. It is very easy if you simplify it in your thoughts and realize that you are dealing with an eternal presence which, when called upon, responds to you. Well, it's not very easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? This is where a lot of us get tripped up, I think, because it seems like that eternal presence doesn't respond to us. Or perhaps it responds, but it doesn't look the way we wanted it to or expected it to. And so we get shaken, we get rattled a little bit. And our faith, our trust, our simple acceptance it's shaken. We're not yet at that completeness that we want to feel. Because that, in my mind, is the first product of prayer, is a sense of completeness and wholeness with the thing we've been thinking about. Because that completeness is the result of this alignment of our feelings and our thoughts and our soul, if you will, our spirit. And that's what this stepwise procession of prayer is designed to do. Here's how we teach to the kids. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful, I release and let it go. That stepwise progression of ideas brings us to this sense of completion and completeness about it that is unlike what we usually go through. Because I don't know about you, but I think I know I am, and I don't think I'm alone. I like to just worry things. I like to chew around the edges of them and, leave claw marks in them before I can let them go. And I like coming to that place of completeness. But sometimes, in the midst of prayer, we're at a place that seems like faithlessness, or at least less faith than we want. And the answer is to take a step back and remember what we're doing. We're not talking to something out there that's capricious and we hope will hear us an answer. We're connecting with the ground of our being. We're connecting with the spirit in action that's always, in every moment, everywhere, doing something. That's in our heartbeats, that's in our breath, that's in every cell of our bodies. And we simply have to repeat that process of God is, I am, until we can then say, I know, I'm grateful, I let it go. I let God do what is God's to do. And I said that Holmes called that simple acceptance. All these 5 steps are tied together in a practice that's designed to change the track of our thought. And that's why it's simple but not easy. Because we're working with an old belief system that we've been running for a very long time. We've been running for a very long time. And so when we spend time in prayer, when it is our practice, our spiritual practice, that simple acceptance starts to expand because we start to see differently, because we've started to think differently. Ernest Holmes again, he wrote, when one gives a prayer for a right action, and does not believe that right action will be the result, he makes his own treatment negative. Therefore, we should spend much time in convincing ourselves of the truth of our prayer. This is not a power of will, but a power of choice. So we choose to think differently, and we choose to think differently, and we choose to think differently until that different choice becomes our default. Then we have changed the pattern of our thinking until we arrive at the simple acceptance of the spiritual truth of the moment, of the person, of the circumstance. Then we have been changed. And then our experience in life is changed, and our words and our actions are changed. The best advice I was ever given, and I don't remember where it came from, it was one of those little gifts that dropped out of the sky. Someone once said to me, at the end of the prayer you say, and so it is. And then you think of everything, absolutely everything that happens after that as part of the manifestation, the emergence of what you're praying about. I think every bit of it is part of the answer to your prayer. This sounds simple, but again, it's not. It takes commitment and it takes practice, like everything good in life. So when I pray for peace, if I'm to think of everything that happens after I let that prayer go as part of the manifestation of peace, what do I do when I run up against something that appears to be not peace? I have to stop and think differently about it. I have to stop and regroup. If it is part of the manifestation of the peace I'm seeking, I have to choose to see it differently. I have to remember that in the larger scheme of things, this very well might be part of the peace I seek. It might be telling me that I have to grow more peaceful, which is usually the case. You know, I expect to see peace and then I go out and yell at people in traffic. It's not a good way to see peace in the world, I'll tell you. I may have to become more peaceful. I may have to let some things ride instead of getting ruffled and all roughed up about them. It may be that I'm to take some action in the world that will lead to greater peace. It may be that there's something larger going on that I need to step a little bit back and take a bigger look and check my faith and check my simple acceptance before I begin to see the peace I'm expecting to see. And these big things are really difficult. Terminal illness and death and world peace and poverty, and those are really difficult. But I want to give you some small t truth about those things right now. Did you know that 200 years ago, 95% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty? In 1950, which was not that long ago, that was still true for 75% of the world. And today it's only 10%. Did you know that 200 years ago, 40% of all newborns died before they reached the age of 5? And now it's a fraction of a percent? Did you know that 300 years ago, the average lifespan was 22 years? And 100 years ago, it was only 50. And today it's 81. Did you know that far fewer people die in war now than ever before? Way less than in 1400. The general level of violence has been vastly reduced. In 1500 in Italy, there were 70 homicides per 100,000 people. Today there are 2. We are evolving. The world is becoming a more peaceful place. It is becoming a more prosperous place. It is becoming less ill, more healthy, it is evolving into a different place than it has ever been. We forget that because we focus on this little strip right in front of us and say, well, this in my life is not peaceful. Sometimes we have to stand back and get a bigger picture. And sometimes we have to zero in and say, do I have to be more peaceful here? Is that what's going on? Got it? I think the reality is all these things. Sometimes it's a look with a microscope. Sometimes it's a look from a 20,000-foot view. But we have to remember that our prayer is being answered. We are evolving into a different place. We have to stop and remember that Spirit, God, the universe, is still at work in this world. By means of us. By means of us. Changing things for the better. And here's another thing. Just this morning, I always get up early on Sunday and kind of fine-tune what I've said so far in my preparation. And I got an email from a colleague, and it had this quote in it, and I went, thank you. It's from Michael Berg, who's a Kabbalah scholar. He said, true comfort is the crossing of an abyss. On one side is us, on the other side is capital F, fulfillment. We've been trying to drag happiness over to our side of the abyss, when what we really need to do is jump to the other side. Leaping the abyss is total transformation of our nature, becoming like the Creator, rather than hoping the Creator will become like us. That's perfect, isn't it? That's what we're seeking to do, is to remember that we're here to show the goodness of God right where we are. Big or small, global or personal, it doesn't matter. The good is out there because it's in here. It's coming home to us, through us, and as us, as we cross that abyss, as we make that leap, and as we continue to practice praying and contemplating and meditating and catching a vision of the good that is still to be in the world. Our experience changes, our lives change, our world changes, and that we can simply accept. So join me now as we come together in consciousness and pray. We do a spiritual mind treatment for all of us and for our world and for our community and for everyone in it. And we start at the beginning. In the beginning, God. That oneness, that isness, that allness, that wholeness that created from itself, through its own inventiveness and creativity, all that exists, that spun out the universe, and that continues to expand that universe and to populate it with planets and stars and gas clouds and nebula and meteors and all kinds of life, that which we know about on this planet, which is staggering enough, and that which we don't know about, that holds it all together somehow. The universe doesn't fly apart or collapse in on itself. It simply goes on, always expanding into new time and new space, balanced somehow so that here we are. We rose up on this planet that is just the right distance away from the sun. And we arose up after plants arose that made it so we could be and breathe and survive and thrive. There is this power in the universe that is the universe, that has created from itself everything that is and that lives in all its creation. And that means me, and that means everyone here. Within each one of us is a spark of that divine life and creativity and power and joy and health and well-being. And as Michael Berg and many other mystics have said, we are here to make manifest the kingdom of God right here and right now, the queendom of God, the isness and the allness of God by means of what we think, what we say, what we do, and what we are. And so I know for each one of us that this practice of contemplation, of remembering, of aligning, of speaking the truth, and then of letting go changes us so that we open up. We open up to new ways of being, to new visions of what may be, and we turn our faces in that direction as if facing the sun. And remember that our good is here because it is within us, and we let it fill us. We let it spill out from us so that we treat each other with more love. We treat ourselves with greater respect. We treat that vision as our North Star, that vision of what the world can be. A world that truly does work for all life. And that is our North Star, so that what we do and become and are and speak and think and say contributes to the unfolding of that vision, that world, that goodness, which is already underway, and we are its completion. We are moving, we are part of, we are contributing to its completion. And we do this in our personal lives, we do it in our work lives, we do it always, knowing that we too are always becoming. Because this is the truth about us. I just say thank you. I say thank you for the manifestation of this truth in greater and greater ways. That's already started. It has started now. And indeed, gratitude, we simply release it, knowing The how, the mechanics, is not ours to know. Ours is simply to know the good that Spirit is, right here, right now, and always. And so we say together to ground this and anchor it. And so it is.
I am just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life. We are all just drops within a stream flowing towards an ocean of life. We may forget where we come from. We may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. Just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me. And I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where we come from, when I remember where we're going to, then I can see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Amen. Now we have an opportunity to support the work of this center because everything we do supports the idea that we create better lives for ourselves and together we create this world that works for everybody. So I ask you to simply consider what you can do to support the center and then do that. And take your gift in your hands or your heart if you're an electronic giver like I am. And affirm with me, I know the activity of abundance.
I know the activity of abundance
In my life and in this center.
in my life and in this center.
I give and receive generously
I give and receive generously
from this everlasting flow of good.
from this everlasting flow of good.
And so it is. Ready? Pull the switch. 1, 2, 3. Your lights are on. Keep them shining. Keep them shining. What great great music today, you guys. Outstanding. Wow. Thank you, thank you. Thanks to everybody. The band always gets my thanks because they're so amazing, but thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks for creating this service. Thanks to our ushers and the greeters and our practitioners and the welcome team and all of you. I really appreciate your being here, and my Sunday has been forever changed because of you. So let's stand into our closing affirmation, and our closing song will rock us on out of here, right? Holy ground? Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Into the Light.
Oh, it's Into the Light. I have holy ground.
Do anything you want.
You want holy ground?
You want holy ground?
Let's do holy ground. Yeah.
In A, gentlemen.
I simply accept
I simply accept
that Spirit is working for me,
that Spirit is working for me,
through me,
through me,
by me.
by me.
I give thanks,
I give thanks,
and I let it be so.
and I let it be so.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.